A Treatise of Satan's Temptations. Part 2. By Richard Gilpin. A Discourse of the Malice, Power, Cruelty and Diligence of Satan. Of Satan's improving these advantages for error, by deluding the understanding directly, which he doth, 1. By countenancing error from Scripture. Of his cunning therein. 2. By specious pretences of mysteries, and what these are. Of personal flatteries, and more. Chapter 3. Part 8. When he had wearied his entertainer with a long stay, he quitted himself of his company, as I was credibly informed, by a policy which he perceived would well suit with the man's conceitedness, for through a reed in the night time, he tells him that he must go into Wales, or some such country, and there preach the gospel. The next morning the man avouches a revelation from God to go elsewhere, and so departs. These instances show you how cunningly a cheating knave may carry on a pretense of revelation or vision. And yet this is not all the advantage which the devil hath in this matter, though it is an advantage which he sometime makes use of, when he is fitted with suitable instruments. But he works most dangerously when he so acts upon men, that they themselves believe they have visions, raptures, and revelations, for some are really persuaded that it is so with them. Neither is it strange that men should be deluded into an apprehension that they hear and see what they do not. In fevers, frenzies, and madness we clearly see it to be so. And who can convince such persons of their mistakes, when with as high a confidence as may be they contend that they are not deceived? Shall we think it strange that Satan hath ways of conveying false apprehensions upon men's minds? No, surely. Do we not see that the senses may be cheated, and that the fancies of men may be corrupted? Is it not easy for him to convey voices to the ear, or shapes and representations to the eye? And in such cases, what can ordinarily hinder a belief that they hear or see such things? But he needs not always work upon the fancy by the senses. If he hath the advantage of a crazy distempered fancy, as commonly he hath in melancholy persons, he can so strongly fix his suggestions upon them, and so effectually set the fancy on work to embrace them, that without any appearance of madness they will persuade themselves that they have discoveries from God, impulses by his Spirit, scriptures set upon their hearts, and what not. And because they feel the workings of these things within them, it is impossible to make them so much as suspect that they are deceived. Do but consider the power of any fancy in a melancholic person, and you may easily apprehend how Satan works in such delusions. Melancholy doth strangely pervert the imagination, and will beget in men wonderful misapprehensions, and that sometimes doth bewitch them into peremptory, uncontrollable belief of their fancy. It is a vehement, confident humor, what way soever it takes the imagination, thus corrupted hath an enormous strength, so that if it fix upon things never so absurd or irrational, it is not reducible by the strongest reasons. If such a man conceits himself dead, or that he is transformed to a wolf or cat, or that he is made of glass, as many in this distemper have done, there is no persuasion to the contrary that can take place with him. Now if this humor be taken up with divine matters, as usually it doth, for it hath a natural inclination to religious things, it still acts with fierceness and confidence, and there are many things often concomitant to such actings, that if it misconceit inspiration or prophecy, the parties themselves are not only bound up under that persuasion, but even unwary spectators are deluded. For sometime a melancholy imagination is not wholly corrupt, but only in respect of some one or two particulars, whilst in other things it acts regularly, and then neither they nor others, that are unacquainted with such cases, are so apt to suspect that they are mistaken in these things, while they act rationally and soberly in other matters. Sometime they have vehement fits of surprisal, for the humor hath its ebbings and flowings, and this gives them occasion to apprehend that something doth supernaturally act or raise them, and then when the things they speak are for the matter of them of religious concern and odd notions, for the humor flies high and bounds not itself with ordinary things, and with all uttered in Scripture, rhetoric and with fervency and urgency of spirit, when these things concur, there is such an appearance of inspiration, that the parties themselves and others, rest fully persuaded that it is so. 7. Seventhly, pretended and counterfeit miracles, the devil makes much use of to countenance error, and this is also one of his strongholds. For he suggests that God himself bears witness by these signs, wonders, and miracles to such erroneous doctrine, as seems to be concerned by them. That the devil cannot work a true miracle hath been discoursed before, but that he can perform many strange things, and such as may beget admiration, none denies. And that by such unwonted actions he usually endeavors to justify false doctrines, and to set them off with the appearance of divine approbation, we are sufficiently forewarned in the Scriptures. Jannes and Jambres resisted Moses by false miracles. In Deuteronomy 13:1, God speaks of the signs and wonders of false prophets, who would by that means, seek to seduce the people to follow after other gods. Christ also, in Matthew 24:24, foretells that false Christs and false prophets shall arise, and show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect, and puts a special note of caution upon it, "Behold, I have told you before." And to the same purpose is that of Paul concerning Antichrist, 2 Thessalonians 2:9, where he tells us of powerful signs and wonders by the working of Satan, who doth all the while only lie and cheat that he may draw men to error. If we make inquiry how Satan hath managed this engine, we shall observe not only his diligence in using it, on all occasions to countenance all kind of errors both in paganism and Christianity, but also his subtle dexterity by cheating men with forgeries and falsehood. Heathenish idolatry, among other helps for its advancement, wanted not this. The oracles and responses, which were common before the coming of Christ, were esteemed as miraculous confirmations of the truth of the deities which they worshipped. The movings and speakings of their statues were arguments, that the operative presence of some celestial numen was affixed to such an image. In some places, the solemn sacrifices are never performed without a seeming miracle. As in Nova Zembla, where the priest's trances, his running a sword into his belly, his making his head and shoulder fall off his body into a kettle of hot water, by the drawing of a line, and then his reviving again perfect and entire, without maim or hurt, are all strange, astonishing things to the beholders. But besides such things as these, which are standing constant wonders, we read of some that have had, as it were, a gift of miracles, that they might be eminently instrumental, to promote and honor paganism. All histories agree that Simon Magus did so many strange things at Rome, as the causing an image to walk, turning stones into bread, transforming himself into several shapes, flying in the air, etc., that he was esteemed a god. Philostratus and Cedrenus report great things of Apollonius, of Diana, as that he could deliver cities from scorpions, serpents, earthquakes, etc. And that many miracles were wrought by him. This man Satan raised up in an extraordinary manner, to revive the honor of paganism, that it might at least vie with Christianity. And though few ever attained to that height, which Apollonius and Simon Magus reached unto, yet have we several instances of great things done now, and then by some singular persons, upon a special occasion, which Satan improved to his advantage. Vespasian cured a lame and blind man. Adrianus cured a blind woman. And which is more, after he was dead, by the touch of his body, a man of Pannonia who was born blind received his sight. Valerius Maximus tells of many strange things, and particularly of a Vestal virgin that drew water into a sieve. As Livy tells of another, Claudia by name, who with her girdle drew the ship to the shore, which carried the mother of their gods, when neither strength of men nor oxen could do it. Thanks.